Okay, Kyle, it's time to talk about your favorite pastime, the AFC South. We have the Indianapolis Colts traveling on the road to face the Tennessee Titans. The Colts are 3-2-1. The Tennessee Titans are coming off bye week at 3-2. Early line is a 3-point advantage to the Tennessee Titans. As we know, Vegas typically gives the home team 3 points. So basically, this is a pick 'em. What do you think?
For those who don't know at this point, my fantasy football name, at least the past year or so, has been AFC South as a pyramid scheme. And I have firmly believed this for about, say, 4 years now, that the AFC South exists to make a bunch of money, secure one playoff spot where they will lose on ESPN, usually in the 1:30 time slot on Saturday. Not always, but usually it's 1:30 time slot Saturday where they will lose because no one wants to watch the AFC South play football. Even when they make the playoffs, it's not fun. Even when they do cool shit like the Jaguars making the AFC Championship game, it's with Blake Bortles. Wasn't fun to watch. They were just were stupid and beat the Steelers. But anyways, this game, can't believe the Colts are 3-2-1. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird that they're in that position.
It's a countdown to mediocrity. 3, 2, 1, 8-9.
Well, I guess 8-8-1 in this context. They can have a true 8-8-1.
8-8-1. Yeah. They literally can go 500. That's still in play.
If you had to guess, according to Football Outsiders DVOA rankings, which again, DVOA is kind of like they give a rating that takes game situation into account. It's a really good metric. If you had to guess, what do you think the Colts offense is ranked in the NFL at this point in the season?
Given that they finally toppled the 20-point mark this past week, I would have to assume either 31st or 32nd.
You would be correct. They are 32nd in the NFL at this point in offensive metric. They went 110 minutes of football without scoring a touchdown over the past 2 weeks. The Indianapolis Colts are somehow worse than the Carolina Panthers at offense this season, which is pretty remarkable given how bad the Carolina Panthers are at offense. They are somehow worse than Washington. Those numbers will get better as time goes on because Carolina and Washington now not only suck, but don't have their quarterbacks anymore as the Panthers start siphoning off assets to try and dodge taxes or whatever the Panthers exist for at this point. But the Colts are really bad at offense. Jonathan Taylor being out explains a lot of it. They just don't have the receivers. Offensive line isn't the same thing it once was when, that last Andrew Luck season and the Jacoby Brissett season and the Phillip Rivers season, they were consistently one of the 5 best offensive lines in the NFL. And I still attest Quentin Nelson should make the Hall of Fame if he retired tomorrow because he made All-Pro 3 seasons already. And some Hall of Famers only make All-Pro twice, and he did it 3 times in the first 3 seasons. But they're not the same offensive line, and you take away Jonathan Taylor, there's just nothing they can really do on offense unless the Jacksonville Jaguars corners all get hurt and then all get burned by Paris Campbell and Alec Pierce, which is saying a lot about the state of your secondary.
Hold up. You're saying that you're not advocating for let Matt Ryan cook?
The rotting corpse of Matt Ryan cannot cook. Even on the game-winning drive, even when Matt Ryan executed an excellent 2-minute drill, vintage Matt Ryan, as my brother called it, I saw a drive where the play before he throws the game-winning touchdown, he tripped over his own center, fell to the ground, and just laid there like a corpse until he got touched down. Even when he does good things, he still trips over his own center on first down.
Well, okay, we talked about what the biggest difference in the offense was that Matt Ryan was throwing the ball more. He threw 58 times in the game against Jacksonville, which sounds insane. I think he was approaching some sort of record for attempts in the first half, something like 37, 38. He was up there. He was slinging the ball a lot. And okay, you kind of downplayed their pass catchers a little bit. Let's talk about that. You don't think that the Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman combination is a solid one? Because I kind of like it a little.
I think that it's capable. And also, if you stack it up against the rest of the league, I think every team other than 8 or 10 has a player that you can point to and say that's a wide receiver 1. And I know Michael Pittman's a pretty good wide receiver 1 in terms of fantasy production. I see Michael Pittman and I think if he's your number 1, you kind of need to improve your receiving room. He's much better as your number 2 receiver, kind of like when the Jaguars were rolling out with DJ Chark for all those years and pretending like he was a number 1. You're better off with someone else being your number 1 and Michael Pittman being your number 2. But that's not to say that the Colts are a bad receiving core. Like the Bears are a bad receiving core. The Colts are a capable one. And there's a reason they're ranked 32nd in the league when you take away Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines.
Well, they actually were pretty productive in the running game this week, or at least their running back, Deion Jackson, was more productive for them. They were using the short passing game in lieu of their running game this week, with also Nyheim Hines out with a concussion. So they might have both of their running backs stable back this week. Tennessee, they've been banged up a lot, though. We talk about injuries. Tennessee has been one of the most banged up in the league. They're competing with the 49ers for how many injuries they can have. One of the big types of injuries they've suffered, unfortunately, is in the wide receiving core, so much to the point that The Athletic is posting articles. The perfect trade for the Tennessee Titans right now? Get A.J. Brown. The fact that they don't have A.J. Brown on this team has proved a problem for them in the early going. Thank you, Athletic. Very tongue-in-cheek, but very spot on, because they really could use a receiver of his type. They're back to the Westbrook-Akini week-to-week hopes, and Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, is not looking like he did a couple years ago in the Los Angeles Rams. Of course, he's still coming off a major knee injury as well. Derrick Henry, we were worried coming into the year. Can Derrick Henry come back off his first major injury of his career and still be productive? He still is. He still is that guy. He still is Derrick Henry. So at least we don't have to worry about that. The problem is for Derrick Henry, the problem is for the Tennessee Titans as a whole, is Todd Downing still runs this offense. And he, in many ways, I think, runs this offense in the ground. You look at what the Falcons have done with Arthur Smith, and I think Arthur Smith is actually showing that he has some good coaching chops. I don't see that with Todd Downing and running this team. So I think that's probably one of the first things that the Tennessee Titans should probably do, is get rid of Todd Downing if they really want to take this team to another level, or at least take it to a more respectable level, because you were releasing Arthur Smith, get good production out of Ryan Tannehill. I've never seen that since Todd Downing's taken over this team, this offense.
See, I know the Titans are trying to get a playoff spot this year, and they probably will, given how much the Colts have fallen apart, and the fact that the Jaguars are the worst team in the NFL that's not actively tanking at this point, is what Jacksonville is. They're like plus 24 point differential, but are 2-4 at this point. So like Tennessee's going to get that playoff spot by default, but man, just put Malik Willis in. Put Malik Willis in, and it would just be interesting to watch. I know that it's not necessarily
No, that's why. I mean,
why play Tannehill when he's not going to be on the team after next year?
Because you can make the playoffs this year.
I mean, you can make the playoffs with Malik Willis. The Titans are in this weird
I'm not going to bank on it.
Totally
Malik
fair.
Willis,
totally fair.
I mean, I saw him in the preseason. He had moments where, he was explosive and had the big running capabilities, but I don't think that he's going to suddenly turn into consistent week-to-week starter over the course of a year. They're trying to win games.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And, the Titans are at this point, I would say, like the 6th or 7th best team in the AFC, and all of the AFC. Again, I'm in favor of Buffalo and Kansas City's winner this past weekend, which was Buffalo, should win the AFC East and the AFC South, and then get to play double elimination in the playoffs, because Buffalo deserves it more than any of these teams. But the Titans offense runs through Derrick Henry at this point. And obviously, like you mentioned, injuries to Taylor Lewan and Treylon Burks and Westbrook-Akina. Tennessee's defense has been in an interesting place, because obviously you don't have Harold Landry for the rest of the season. Their quarterback room at least isn't the atrocity that it was a couple years ago when they were trying to beat the Ravens in that playoff game. I think that was January 2021 when they were playing that, but at least their cornerback room is stable at this point. The matchup against the Colts will be interesting, because the Colts can move the ball against Tennessee. I know the Colts offense, we just said they're 32nd in the league. I just crapped on them, et cetera, but the Colts can actually move the ball against Tennessee's defense. It matches up really well for what the Colts are trying to do with or without Jonathan Taylor. Like you said, short passing game works well, given that the Titans are probably going to play a lot of zone defense, I would assume. I could be wrong about that, but I assume they're going to play a lot of zone defense. And because I don't really like the matchup there, I'm actually going to roll with Indianapolis this week. I'm going to take the Colts to get to 4-2-1 and set back the Titans a little bit in the standings. I think both teams would then be 1-1 against each other at that point for the season, and that feels about appropriate for the state of the Colts and Titans rivalry. So I'm actually going to roll with the Colts, despite the fact I bet the under. I don't know what the under is. Bet the under, no matter what the under is. But I'm gonna roll with the Colts this week.
I'm actually going to look at that Vegas line. So as I mentioned, they're giving the Titans 3 points. And Mike Vrabel in his career as the Titans head coach, 67% winning percentage in one-score games. I think that this is where Mike Vrabel is at his best when he's coaching in these tight situations, these in division games. I think he's going to be able to rally the troops, especially coming off a bye week. They're well rested. They've had time to focus and prepare for the Colts. I think that they're going to be ready, more prepared for this matchup. Give me the Titans. So we're going to be separated on this one. I think the Titans are going to continue to do what they do in the AFC South, for better or worse. Well, let us know in the comments below. Are you going with the Colts? Are you saying it's time to tighten up? We'd like to hear your thoughts. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on social media. From Kyle Ledbetter and Ju-Ju. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you on the next one.